Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to discuss on SYBSc Botany syllabus, paper second, BO 232, plant physiology. So during this lecture we are going to discuss our botany syllabus for the second year BSc. So this is the structure of SYBSc Botany syllabus. So botany subject, if you offered for second year, so there are two semesters, semester 3 and semester 4. This course is compulsory. Course name BO231, Taxonomy of Angiosperm and Plant Ecology, for 2 credits. BO232, Plant Physiology, it again for 2 credits. And the practicals based on about 2 theory courses, that is BO231 and BO232, it also for 2 credits. So this syllabus is for semester 3rd, and for semester 4th all courses are compulsory. BO 241, Plant Anatomy and Embryology, 2 credits. BO 242, Plant Biotechnology, and the last one practical course based on above two texts, above two theory courses, BO 241 and BO 242, for 2 credits. So this is the structure of SYBSc Botany syllabus. So you have 2 theory courses and 1 practical for each semester. The practical course is based on the theory courses, and all the courses are compulsory for you. So in this semester, that is in 3rd semester, I am going to talk on BO 232, Plant Physiology. So this is your syllabus. So the syllabus has been divided into 2 credits. So I am going to start the credit 1. So the first chapter is Introduction to Plant Physiology. So this chapter carries 2 lectures. So in this chapter we are going to discuss on what is plant physiology. So as you are familiar with this word physiology, so this plant physiology, it is the branch of botany that deals with the study of all the life processes performed by the plants. So the life processes, if you discuss, right from seed germination to the senescence and the death of the plant. Next is the scope and application of plant physiology. So plant physiology having a wide scope in the various fields of the science. Without plant physiology, the existence on this planet Earth is not possible. So it is an applied subject, has been wide scope in all the branches of the science. The second chapter is the absorption of water. So it for this chapter is for 3 lectures. The first point is the role of water in plants. So as you know that the water is the elixir of the life. Thousands of chemical reactions has been takes place in the plant by using water. So without water the life is not possible on this planet Earth. So water is the medium for the thousands of reactions. Next is the mechanism of water absorption with respect to crop plant. So water absorption by the roots of the plant has been carried out by the different mechanisms. So that comprises passive absorption of water, active absorption of water. So these mechanisms we are going to study how the plant root absorb water from the soil. So this explain the mechanism of water absorption. Last one is the factors affecting the rate of water absorption. So the various environmental factors like temperature, light, humidity, water content in the soil. So these are the factors that affect on the water absorption. Next is the ascent of sap. So ascent of sap, it is the upliftment of water and minerals from the root to the shoot of the plant. Sap, it is nothing but the water containing dissolved solutes that we called as a sap. So the water along with the dissolved mineral nutrients has been absorbed by the roots of the plant, and that has been uplifted from root to the shoot of the plant. So this is the mechanism of ascent of sap. So there are various theories to explain the mechanism of ascent of sap. First one is the transpiration pull or cohesion tension theory. So this theory has been put forth by Henry Dixon and John Jolly to explain the mechanism of ascent of soil. So there are certain evidences has been given, and the objections that has been seen to this theory are also explained in this chapter. Last point is the factors affecting ascent of sap. So these are again the environmental factors that affect on the ascent of sap, like the temperature, light, humidity, water content, wind velocity. So these are the factors affect on the ascent of sap. Next chapter, transpiration. So the definition of the transpiration, it is the loss of water from the aerial part of the plant. Loss of water in the form of vapors from the aerial part of the plant, that we called it as a transpiration. So the large amount of water has been absorbed by the plant. It has been uplifted, transported to the various parts of the plant. So from this aerial plant, the water in the form of vapors has been escape out in the outer atmosphere. So there are three types of transpiration: cuticular transpiration, lenticular transpiration, and stomatal transpiration. When the transpiration occurs through the cuticle, so in some plant, when the cuticle is thin or there are some cracks in the cuticle, so the water loss has been takes place through the cuticle. So that type of transpiration, it is referred as cuticular transpiration. Next is the lenticular transpiration, when the transpiration takes place through the lenticels. And the last one is the stomatal transpiration. Here stomata, these are the minute openings present on the lip surface. So through the stomata, the large amount of water has been transferred into the outer atmosphere. Next point is the structure of stomata. As I was previously told that the stomata are the minute openings present on the upper and the lower surface of the lip. So the stomata has been made up of guard cells, epidermal cells. These are also called as subsidiary cells. So these cells makes the stomata. So here we have to discuss the structure of stomata. Next is the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. How the stomata are open, how they are closed. So this explains the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. Another one hypothesis has been given, that is the Stewart's hypothesis. So this hypothesis explains the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. Next one theory has been given, that is the active K plus transport mechanism. So in this mechanism, the opening and the closing of the stomata has been depends on the transport of potassium ions into and out of the uh, guard cell. So this explains the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. Next point is the factors affecting the rate of transpiration. So there are various factors that affect on transpiration, has been divided into two types: external factors and internal factors. External factors, nothing but these are the environmental factors like temperature, light, humidity, wind velocity, water content in the soil. And the internal factors comprises the rate of ascent of sap, rate of absorption, lip area, lip size. So these are the factors that affect on the rate of transpiration. Next is the significance of transpiration. So transpiration was found to be the necessary physiological process in the plant. In spite of the large amount of water has been transpired or lost through the plant. As you know that there is a scarcity of water, or the water availability is limited. So in such situation, the transpiration was found to be a necessary evil, but it requires to maintain the temperature of the plant. As you know that the plant can photosynthesize their own food material with the help of light. So within a period of a second, the temperature of the plant has been increased. So to maintain the temperature of the plant, the water plays an important role. So transpiration is the main process involved in the maintaining the temperature of the plant. Next point is the anti-transpirants. So anti means it works against the process of transpiration. So anti-transparent, these are the chemicals which spread on the plant reduce the rate of transpiration. It reduce the rate of transpiration, retard the process of transpiration. Next one is the guttation. It is the loss of water from the uninjured tips and the margins of the plant, that we call it as a guttation. So in winter season, you generally seen the water drop has been appear on the tip of the lip bed. So that drop of water is nothing but the gutted drop of water. Next is the exudation. So it is also the loss of water in liquid form, but from the injured part of the plant. So this process was found to be the economical. So in case of making a rubber, some plants, for example Hevia brasiliensis, so these plants has been used to make the rubber. So from the latex of this plant, the latex has been exuded by the process of exudation. So next, credit second. The credit second having some chapters. The fifth one is the nitrogen metabolism. So as you know that the important of the nitrogen is the building blocks of the amino acid proteins. So plant needs the large amount of protein. So nitrogen having an immense importance in the life of the plant. So nitrogen plays an important role by providing the building blocks for the making amino acids protein. So some bacteria microorganisms can able to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, so that we refer it as nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen fixation by bacteria, for example rhizobium, some cyanobacteria like blue green algae can perform the process of nitrogen fixation. They fix the atmospheric nitrogen and that nitrogen make available to the crop plant. So there are two processes involved in the nitrogen fixation: symbiotic nitrogen fixation and non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. So symbiotic nitrogen fixation has been carried out by some blue-green algae and the rhizobium. So these organisms possesses an enzyme nitrogenase. So with the help of this enzyme they can fix the atmospheric nitrogen. The only one requirement for the working of nitrogenase enzyme is the anaerobic condition has to be maintained by during the process of nitrogen fixation. So in this chapter we are going to study the symbiotic nitrogen fixation, nitrogenase enzyme, structure and the function of enzyme. The second one process is the non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Without any association with the host organism, some microorganism can fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So that we discuss in the point non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Importance and production technique of blue-green algae. So blue-green algae was found to be the efficient source of biofertilizer. So how this blue-green algae production technique has been carried out by using certain blue-green algae like nostoc, anavena, hapalosypon, calothrix. So these are the blue-green algae can be used as a biofertilizers in the crop fields. Next is the denitrification, ammonification and nitrification. So these are the processes has been occurred during the nitrogen fixation, ammonification, nitrification and finally the denitrification. Next is the reductive amination and transamination. So these processes we will be discussing the nitrogen metabolism. Next chapter is the seed dormancy and germination. So seed dormancy, it is the temporary suspended period of the seed during which seed is not able to germinate under favorable conditions of favorable conditions of germination. So there are various types of seed dormancy like physical dormancy, physiological dormancy. So during this period the seed is not able to germinate. So there are certain methods given to break the seed dormancy, so that we discuss in this chapter. Metabolic changes during seed germination. So when seed gets germinated, the result food material in the form of starch, carbohydrates, proteins, lipids has been metabolized by the activity of various enzymes during seed germination. Next is the role of phytochromes to improve the seed germination. Next is the vigor index. Last chapter, physiology of flowering. So flowering is one of the important physiological event that has been started. It denotes the switching off from vegetative phase to the reproductive phase of the plant. So first one is the photoperiodism, the flowering response of the plant to the relative length of light and dark period, that we refer it as photoperiodism. So the concept of photoperiodism, its definition. So on the basis of photoperiod required for initiation of flowering, there are three types of plants: short day plants, long day plants, day neutral plant. So this plant classification has been made by using the criteria like the photoperiod required by the plant for initiation of flowering. So there are certain theories: phytochrome theory, role of phytohormones in induction and inhibition of flowering, application of photoperiodism. Next concept is the vernalization. So similar like to the light period required for initiation of flowering, some plants require a chilling temperature or very low temperature for the initiation of flowering. So that concept it is referred as vernalization. The concept, definition, mechanism of vernalization, application of vernalization and devernalization. So this is of our syllabus for botany paper second PO 232 plant physiology. So this paper comprises 2 credits. Hopes all of you are safe at the home. Stay home, safe home.